Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about how every market is too crowded. Okay, so this is a really good weekend. On Saturday I went to London to go to YouTube Spaces for their Creators Day. So every few months YouTube will have this Creators Day where they invite people who have at least like 1,000 subscribers, and they can go down there and like sit through a day of presentations, and there's little breakout sessions and talk to other YouTubers and stuff like that. It was really interesting. I went a few months, I think I went towards the end of last year, and I learned a lot, and sort of up my game when it comes to doing these videos. So I went again just to learn a little bit more, and it was really interesting. Now I don't consider myself a YouTuber. It's not like the way I earn my revenue, but it is interesting to talk to other people, and there's a lot of similarities. In fact, somebody asked me recently, or like a few weeks ago, they sent me an email saying, Eric, can you talk about how your YouTube revenue compares to your app revenue? And I was like, dude, it's like way, like the apps were able to, put food on the table, pay all the bills, hire all the developers, pay for the office. The apps are what keeps everything going. And from YouTube, I made $20, in that month. So it's, it's like night and day. But it was interesting talking to all these people who were, a lot of them were very young. I was afraid once again that I'd be the oldest guy there, but there was a few people there older than me, thank goodness. But a lot of young people, and it's but they were like, that was going to be their livelihood, or they're trying to build up a livelihood to earn a living as a YouTuber. And some people who I spoke to were actually making quite a bit of money, but a lot of them weren't. They were still, kind of like app developers. You think making money from apps is hard. Imagine what it must be like for them, to go and do YouTube videos and earn all of that off of advertising. And there were different niches of people there. There were like, I guess they're called personality bloggers. So people who talk about, just talk about their lives and stuff like that. And then there was niche bloggers who would talk about like, unboxing or whatever. I was the only app development guy there, but same as last time. And when I say I make apps, it kind of confuses everybody because they're like, well, do you work on the YouTube app? I said, no, I just make apps. So there's lots of different types of stuff. The guy, one guy was like, he does like political blogs, political videos. So it's because of Trump, he's able to make he's doing really well at the moment. He showed me his revenue. It was actually pretty good. It's like $300 for the last week or something. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was still way better than mine. But it was kind of different because coming from an app perspective, I'm thinking about keywords and I'm thinking about optimization and being found and all that kind of stuff. And he was sort of like, he would craft a well-crafted title, and he didn't rely on subscriptions or for subscribed viewers. He would get all new viewers because people from search, and then you had some of the younger people who were, the personality bloggers or fashion bloggers or whatever. They would get most of their views from subscriptions, so they, hope that people would find them. And what gets me about it every time I go there is that the people who are doing stuff on YouTube are in the same situation that we as app developers are. In fact, probably worse so, because the statistic that they talked about was like every minute on YouTube, 400 hours of video gets uploaded. So like more than anybody could possibly watch. So it's it's a really crowded market. I know so many people who they say their kids when they grow up they want to be a YouTuber, and I think, God, is that a real job? So it's really interesting. And so the biggest problem that these young YouTubers have, is the same problem that we have with apps. Is getting noticed. It's almost the YouTube is too crowded, just like the app market is too crowded. So the biggest problem is having people find their video the same way as having people find our apps. And strangely, also this weekend I spoke to somebody about their Amazon product. So they have like an Amazon, or a friend of theirs has an Amazon product, which is actually an actual product, not like a not like an Alibaba type of thing, but they actually invented something and they're trying to sell it on Amazon, and it's doing horribly bad. Nobody's buying it, nobody's finding it. And I started asking about keywords and marketing and stuff like that, and it was just completely lost. It was almost like, well, hey, Amazon is the same. Amazon has too many products, and somebody put in a product on Amazon has the same problem that we as app developers have, is the market is too crowded, right? And then I started thinking about, ebooks. Like if you look at the ebook market, there's so many books about how to get rich writing ebooks, Kindle ebooks, and you think, well, hang on, that market's too crowded too, because you hear about people saying, oh yeah, it doesn't really work, it's too crowded, too hard to be found. So they have the same problem, you know, and it's the same, I mean, it's the same everywhere. And you start thinking about the problem that we have as app developers, you know, for the most part, is the same problem that the YouTubers have, the same problem that the ebook writers have, the same problem that the Amazon has, is that we have too much of everything and the barrier to entry is so low for everything. So, which doesn't make it impossible. It's obviously not impossible, you know, we're all doing it, but we have to look at the gorilla in the room, which is the fact that we all have to become better at the marketing side of things, better at putting ourselves out there. You know, when the market is too crowded, we have to get better at, you know, standing up on the desk and waving our arms and shouting, hey, look over here, look over here. Right, which sounds a bit, you know, because I was getting kind of depressed when I was on my way home. I was thinking, you know, this is just like high school all over again. Just going to be that the popular kid, you know, gets all the girls or whatever, or the loudest or the most annoying or whatever, and the shy, quiet kids, you know, like me, you know, we just sort of get ignored. But that's not, I don't think that's entirely the case. You know, when I started thinking about it, when you think about, what do you think would be easier? Do you think it'd be easier to take somebody who's really good at marketing, who's really good at getting out there, who's really good at getting in front of people and teaching them how to code? Or do you think it would be easier to take somebody who knows how to code and teach them a little bit more about getting out there in front of people? Or have them learn a little bit more about getting in front of people? And that's one of the challenges that I think I always face, especially like with Overpass, it's either getting clients or getting people to find the apps, is always thinking about the fact that everything is so crowded and everything looks the same. Every time I get an email from like a software company and they'll say, like, you know, any overflow work and everything like that, they all look surprisingly the same. None of them really stand out. They don't specialize in anything. And it's I think what we have to do is look at, you know, how do you get out, you know, how do you get out there in front of people? What really hit me though was because I came home, you know, I was in London for the day. I came home and I was telling my kids about it. I wished I could have brought them with me. They would have thought it was so cool, but they didn't have enough subscribers. You know, it was only for, they wouldn't let you bring any guests. So I told them about the fact that people were mentioning the big YouTubers like Casey Neistat or PewDiePie and stuff like that, like they knew them. It was almost like, you know, I'm sure like actors talk about Robert De Niro or whatever, you know, they were just sort of mentioned. And then, you know, one of my kids said, it's like those people who want to have the next Flappy Birds. And I said, that's exactly what it's like. It's because a few people make it look so easy that we get into it, and then when we find out it's harder than we thought, then we start to back off. So I know lots of people who were in app development or, you know, had their apps, you know, a few years ago who got out of it, and they'll say, oh, you can't make money with apps, which is not true, but it's more difficult than we think. So, you know, you could try to find a new market which is not yet crowded, which, you know, you have like a few months, a few years before it becomes crowded, or you could stand your ground and say, I got to learn how to get people to find my thing. I have to think about those users that are searching for apps. I have to look at what kind of apps are they using and what kind of keywords are those apps using. You know, what is similar to my app? You know, who's looking for those? Would they be interested in mine? How do I target those people? What kind of search terms would they be looking for? Are those search terms too crowded? If so, are there any alternative search terms I could use? You know, once I get people in, how do I get them to use my other apps? All that kind of stuff. And it's something that we all deal with every day. The same way, you know, there's nothing unique about the app market. For those people who say the app market is dead, I would say, you know, you don't give up so easy, because every market's going to be like this. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.